Today on Passion for Food, we make the Doughnuts twisted sister, literally, the South African Koeksister. I remember growing up in South Africa, these were always one of my dad's favorite sweet treats. They're a little bit of a pastry paradox because they're crispy on the outside but kind of soft and syrupy on the inside. And the sweet trick to achieving that is all about our syrup. But don't worry, I won't keep it at all surreptitious. We're going to make a simple syrup here consisting of 3 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water. This is going to make quite a lot of syrup, so we're going to have some left over at the end, but that's okay. You really want to have too much rather than not enough, as we are going to be soaking the Koeksisters in the syrup. Now, a lot of the Koeksisters I remember growing up in South Africa used a kind of honey syrup, but I'm actually going to be using a lemon ginger syrup here today. No need to peel, just give it a chop. As for our lemon, a lot of the best flavors are contained in the essential oils of the peel, so we're going to go ahead and take that. Don't worry, it won't rind. Anyway, once our lemon peel and ginger are in here, all we want to do is bring this up to a boil until all the sugar is nicely dissolved. At which point we'll go ahead and add the juice of that lemon we peeled earlier. You didn't think I was going to waste that, did you? Now, the real trick here is that we can't use this hot. We need to set this aside to cool in the fridge until it's ice cold. So make this ahead of time, preferably the night before. So once that's had a chance to chill, we can go ahead and get started making our Koeksister dough. Starting with 2 cups of self-rising flour. You can use all-purpose flour, but then add 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And to that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt and 4 tablespoons of cold butter. I'm actually going to make my entire dough start to finish in the food processor. It makes cutting the butter in super easy, and I just think it's really cool that you can make it that way. But it's not hard at all just to rub the butter into the flour with your hands and mix the dough the old-fashioned way. But we just want to pulse this on and off until our butter has been broken down into nice small pieces. Kind of a coarse, sandy texture, at which point we can add our final 2 ingredients, 1 large egg and half a cup of milk. If we're using the food processor, we have to be careful not to overwork this. We really want to pulse it on and off. You'll be surprised how after only 6 or 7 pulses, it'll come right together for us into a nice, soft, sticky dough. I can't emphasize enough not to overwork this. Think of it like a biscuit or donut dough. You want it to stay tender. And speaking of biscuit dough, if you wanted to cheat, biscuit dough would work great for this. But before we use this dough, we need to let it sit and rest for at least 20 or 30 minutes. I like to cover mine in plastic wrap. And instead of using flour to roll out, I had the slick idea of using oil. So let's just use a light coating here, don't go too crazy. And to make these, I like to work in 2 batches. So let's go ahead and grab our rested dough, and we're just going to split that straight in half. Now, ultimately, we want to get this pressed and rolled out into a rectangle. You know, not that it's going to be an actual rectangle, but let's try and make it kind of rectangle-ish. And don't forget to put a little bit of oil on your rolling pin. I forgot that once, and let's just say I definitely stick to it now. Anyway, tacky jokes aside, we want to go ahead and get this rolled out to about 1/4 of an inch or so. Once we're nice and flat, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the edges here a little bit. I'll be honest, mostly just for demonstration purposes. If there was no camera rolling, I would probably just make some weird-looking Koeksisters. Hey, don't you judge me. And all we want to do here is cut this into rectangles the length that we want our final Koeksisters to be. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. If a couple sisters come out a little cockeyed, well, that's okay. And now what we want to do for the traditional plaited Koeksister design is cut these into 3 strips, just like that. You want to leave the end connected. And then we just want to give these a kind of standard braid, which I totally remember how to do. First, we want to cross over the middle with this one, and then over again with this one. And then into the middle maybe with this one, and I don't know, over here, that doesn't seem right. No, I don't know. Okay, well, no, not even close. Okay, geez, let's try that again. We want to cut into 3 strips and get our 2 sides separated, and we just want to gently braid together our Koeksister dough. I think I got this one more or less correct. Just make sure once we get down to the end, you really need to pinch it together or it can come unraveled when we take these off to fry them. We want our oil to be about 325 or so, and just gently lay these in. Don't be dropping them from up high. No one wants to be splashed with hot oil. After about 2 minutes, you'll see these will have puffed up beautifully and they'll be floating up at the top for us. That's a hint that it's a good time to give these a flip. We want to let these continue cooking for about another 2 minutes, at which point we want to go ahead and pull them out, but we want to go straight into that ice cold syrup. You'll see I actually have that pot of lemon ginger syrup over an ice bath. That's a good idea. We don't want the syrup heating up too much as we're continuing to make these Koeksisters. I'll just give these a quick flip in our syrup. We want that syrup to really penetrate every little nook and cranny here. We don't really need to let these soak in the syrup very long. I would say 30 seconds to a minute max. But that's it, folks. These stickily delicious South African Koeksisters are ready to eat. These have a really unique texture that I don't know if I've seen in anything else, where they're crispy on the outside but syrupy on the inside. It's definitely a unique treat and a lot of fun to make. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Passion for Food. If you have, give me a thumbs up below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss our future recipes. Also, check out one of our other great videos playing on the screen now. And a special thanks to Corrine in South Africa for suggesting the recipe. This has been Graham with Passion for Food.